Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast, the podcast that knows as much about football as Neil Lennon knows about employment law. This week on Heart and Hand, they were killing us on Wednesday night, but on Sunday they had us livying again. So welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name's David Edgar. I'm your host as always, and joining me this week are two of the finest of the Heart and Hand team, two senior operating officers. First of all, the inestimable Mr. Ian Hogg.
Good evening, young man. Thank you for having me on this fun-packed Monday.
And the splendid Mr. Andy McGowan.
Hello guys, all in a good mood I hope.
Well, yes, better, but I do want to talk about the frustration that gets caused following our team. But after, let's be honest, a pretty shabby start to the second half of the season at Kilmarnock on Wednesday, we were all at the game. It was dreadful and Rangers offered nothing, but we talked about that on Thursday. We headed off to the Tony Macaroni Arena, as we're legally obliged to call it now. And I think there was a feeling, Andy, among the supporters going in that this is a tough one. It's okay saying Livy were 7th or 8th, actually, by the time the game kicked off. And that is correct, but their home record is splendid for any side in the SPFL. They'd only conceded 6 goals at home all season, and of course Rangers had been awful there the previous visit. And yet, right from the start, it was the Rangers that we want to see that came to the party.
Aye, it was a banana skin waiting to happen, and there'll be more teams going to the Tony Macaroni to find it the same as we did the first time round. But they're physical, we know what you're going to get. You have to win a physical battle first and foremost, and I thought we did that really well for the first kick of the ball, and that allowed us eventually to enforce the game. But it was if we lost that yesterday, if we dropped any points yesterday, that would have been a disaster, real disaster. So
it was done if we lost yesterday. In all fairness, it really was, and I don't say it lightly, but if we lost yesterday, it was done.
I don't think that's too far for the truth, even for an optimist like me.
Yeah, 9 points would have been... You basically then gone into both Old Firm games needing to win and also not being able to drop another point. Also, it would have just been huge. But you're right, it was a really decent display, Hoggy. Right from the start, there was a lot to talk about. The team news came out and Rangers had, if you like, gone back to the 4-3-3, gone back to the midfield that served us so well against Celtic on December the 29th. Borna Barisic came back in as well, Daniel Candeias. And at the back, the lesser spotted Niko Katic came back, although Joe Worrell did retain his place after Wednesday's horror show. I have to say that the 4 guys who came into the side, Barisic, Candeias, Ross McCrorie in particular, and Niko Katic, I thought they all had excellent matches.
Oh, they did. Candeias, you know exactly what you're going to get from him. It's going to be buzz bomb stuff, and it's going to be interaction with James Tavernier down the right hand side. Talk about it long and hard, David, but I genuinely think that James Tavernier doesn't play well without Candeias because they're a unit.
I know what you mean. I think you get a player and a half out of Candeias playing because you get so much more from Tav when he's there.
He just feels safe. It is safety blanket stuff, but he can play with confidence. Barisic came in and played very well, despite... I don't think he was the manager's best friend after Helsinki and his old beating the ground 55 times. But again, came in, he was solid enough. He delivered some cracking balls. Katic, I thought, did very well. Worrell, interestingly, took the leader's role. In my, I always talk about centre halves as a kind of 1 and 2 pairing. The one's always the leader, and Worrell's been led so far this season. And I thought it was really interesting that after Wednesday night and after such a high-profile mistake, he retained his place in the side, became the leader at the back, and actually him and Katic played very, very well together. And then you've got Ross McCrorie, and I left him to the end because I was really happy we went back to 4-3-3. I thought that they needed stretched because they typically play, yes, 3 at the back, but their full-backs tuck in. They end up playing 5. And teams have got a choice. They can either go narrow against them and always play into the hands of Livingston, because although it's a kind of 5 at the back, they're quite a narrow team. Or you can play with width. But if you play with width, you've got to play with pace, urgency, intensity. And Ross McCrorie gave us all of that last night. He was up there, certainly in the top 3 for the man of the match, David.
A lot to unpick there, but I would agree. I thought Ross McCrorie was brilliant again, and I think that's a string of excellent performances he's put together. And we've said it on here for a while, he's the only midfielder at the club who can do that job, but also the way he does it at pace, he does it quickly. Everything he does, he's not a hold on to the ball when he's won it, have a look around. He just gets the ball and he gives it, and we're on the attack. And that's when we look dangerous, Andy, because, to use a kind of modern wanky term, in the transition is when the defence isn't set and guys like Tav or Candace or Kent can get in behind them. Whereas I think some of our other midfielders, if they win the ball, which they do and they're good at it, they tend to not give it quite as quickly as Ross McCrorie does, and that allows the opposition to funnel back, and then a lot of the time we've got to do that turn round and it ends up with the centre halves, and we've seen it game after game, unfortunately. But when McCrorie's in the side, he goes looking for it, he loves a tackle, he wins the ball, and he gets us on the move again before the team's got time to set back up. And in the first half in particular, especially with headers, Rangers were making plenty of chances. I mean, we made more in the first 20 minutes yesterday than we did the last trip to Livingston, I thought.
Aye. I mean, I've got a confession at McCrorie. I think McCrorie is an excellent player. I think he's got everything that he'll need to be a top player, but at the moment I had a wee question mark on him. I've always thought that technically he's just a wee bit short in terms of passing ability and stuff like that, but to be honest, I'm wrong, because what he's given to your team, if you take it out and buy it, how much would you pay for it? You'd be paying millions for a guy that covered as much ground as him, won as many balls in the air, on the ground, picked up the loose balls. He allowed Jack and the rest of the team to go about their business. And he done it against Celtic as well. It was a very similar kind of performance. And it might be that when the rougher and tougher the game gets and the more up and at him is, the better it suits him, because that's his attributes, getting stuck in, winning balls in the air, and retrieving the ball and playing it simple. So, McCrorie was excellent. I think he's playing himself in a position where he can be far off one of the first 11 all the time. I mean, he's even in the periphery for most of the season by virtue of his youth and a kind of tendency to protect him a wee bit. But I tell you what, I think he makes the team complete. He is the kind of missing part of the jigsaw that allows Arfield and even Jack to add a wee bit more to the game and get on with their game. So McCrorie was superb yesterday. Amongst many, I've got to say, I agree with what you've said already about Barisic and so forth. Katic, I thought was superb as well.
Yeah, well, talking about the centre backs, then now Niko Katic has been out of the team for a while, and when someone is out of the team and their replacement isn't playing that well, there is a tendency for the player to take on mythical qualities, and I think that there was an element of that with Niko Katic, but I do think that the Rangers fans had a fair point in saying that he hadn't done an awful lot wrong to get banished. Sure, he did bad games, but there isn't a centre-back at our club who hasn't had bad games this season. And he got called back into the team yesterday, and I just thought Hoggy kept it simple. He didn't try to do stuff. There was a moment in the 66th minute which summed it up for me, which is Livy were attacking down the side. He ran out to cover it. Livy player's running towards the ball, and another Livy player cuts inside so that if he gets to the ball, his teammate gets the ball, he's free. Katic looks at that, sees it, and just nods it straight out of play, runs back and gets in possession. And I thought, hallelujah, that's exactly what we've been missing. Somebody that realises, play football when we can, but see if we can't, don't lose a goal.
Did you notice where he nodded it though? In 66 minutes, there's a gap between the end of the main stand at Livy and the kind of, let's call it the forest end if you like, or the college end. There's a gap there, and he stuck it right into the gap to allow him. And whether it was meant or not, no idea, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt, because it allowed everyone to just get back into position. It was simple and it was safe, but it was safe in a good way, not a Wednesday night way when everyone was too safe and we didn't offer anything. He came in and he's obviously just been told, like, confidence. It's all about confidence. It's about safety first. It's about doing your job. Defenders defend, closing the title. Defenders defend, and he did that, I thought, superbly well last night. As I say, marshalled by Worrell, because Worrell alongside never stopped talking to him. And it was, I guess, in one way, great to see, in another way, slightly frustrating that there's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde nature to Worrell, probably indicative of the team itself this season, that I hope we can shake off.
Yeah, and a good display. We were getting to the stage. We'd missed a couple of really decent chances, and it's getting to the, I hope we don't pay for this stage, when we were ably assisted with a goal from former Ranger Liam Kelly. Not one he'll look back on with much fondness. Shot from the edge of the box, right through him from Ryan Jack. Goal scoring genius that he is. Should be shooting from all angles from now on to keep this run going. But into the second half, when you're thinking we'll need another one to kill it, Ryan Kent missed one and then immediately got in the end of another. I hadn't finished complaining about his first miss when he came in and like Georges Albert's absolutely smashed it into the top corner. He spoke yesterday, Andy, about being a bit, shall we say, still trying to get back to not full fitness, but full sharpness after his injury, and said I was a little bit sloppy in possession at times, but I'm getting into the positions and I know it's going to come. I'm so excited about this boy, and if there's any chance of signing him, do it. But if there's any chance of even getting him for another year, I think we've got to be trying our very, very best to get a hold of him if he's happy, which he says he is.
He's a top talent, and I think he recognises that he's been afforded to be a key guy in your team. And yesterday, Livingston were doubling up on him, which made it harder for him to get past and create things. But he's such a tricky player; he must be a nightmare to play against. What I liked about him yesterday was that for the win he missed and for the goal, his movement was superb. He was alive for this kind of 4-3-3 to work. It's obviously key that the two wide men chip in with goals, and that is probably the one thing you could level at him so far this season, is that he probably should be scoring more than he has. So the chance he missed and the one he scored, superb movement, obviously good balls into the box as well for the right hand side. But I thought he was very unlucky with that first chance, to be honest. It's easy to say it was a bad miss, but I thought it was actually unlucky. It was coming in at pace. But the second one was no mistake. Beautiful, nice to see a goal rattle for once.
I know. I loved it. It was one of those ones that's just, this is going in. Nobody's gonna stand in the way of it. So we were then, of course, we could do this most games, but I certainly think he deserved it yesterday for Alfredo Morelos, who kept going Hoggy. I thought he was brilliant in everything Barry's finishing up until he then gets probably the most difficult chance he got of the match and slotted it away from wide, something he's really good at in those wider positions. He's shooting so accurate from there. He had another tremendous match, and we're transfer window closing week. It's going to have to be something, I think, stupid to tempt Rangers to sell Morelos, because far be it from me to agree with Andy Walker, but he said if Rangers were to sell him, they're selling their shot at the title, and I can't help but feel that might well be true.
Yeah, and I said in the preview show that if we lose at Livingston, I fully expected Morelos to go, or at least any big bid to be accepted, because you lose against Livingston, and you boys both said it, the game's a bogey. Well, it's not now. We're still in the periphery, I would say, of a title challenge, assuming that Celtic win their game in hand against St Johnstone at Parkhead. There's 6 points in it, so yeah, that for me is the borders of the title challenge. Morelos yesterday, you take even his chances. He had 3 proper chances, I think, and one wee flick that Kent ends up scoring from. The first two are in the first half, the header, and then the utterly magnificent through ball from Daniel Candeias that Morelos hits the post with. Then he gets his goal, and you see the smile. And after the match, Sky Sports came up with a graphic that talked about Morelos this season in the league. Now, I must admit, I kind of cast a wee bit of doubt on it, because the numbers didn't exactly ring true. However, it said that all season in the league, Morelos has had 70 shots on target and scored 21 times. In other words, 30% of the time he shoots, he scores. And he's had 25 shots on target and he scored 21. We're up 80 to 84%. Now, I'm casting a wee bit of doubt on those figures, David. But assuming that they've got some science behind them, for a guy that's meant to miss 90, all his chances, there's actually some strike rate. And yesterday, I think when he's through and goal and by the keeper and he's so wide, he slots it home. There's almost no question. It's right into the inside side netting, and he's off and running and celebrating with the crowd. And I think the smiles and the enthusiasm after the match, and even when he's wheeled out, maybe for the first time ever for a Sky Sports interview, when he said thank you, it was all smiles, and it was lovely to see. So I hope and pray to those gods that I don't believe in that he's still here come Friday.
I think that the stats are maybe a wee bit more difficult to believe, because it tends to be that when he misses a chance, he spectacularly misses a chance. That's, usually fires it well over the bar or whatever. So you might be forgiven for having the perception. But no, I mean, he is a pretty accurate striker of the ball at certain times. But again, I just think it's a massive improvement from last year. That was the area of his game he had to work on. He's worked on and he's getting better. He's getting better, I think, month by month at this point. And Andy, he proved yet again that to get the best out of Alfredo Morelos, you have to put him in a 3. He does not seem, and we've joked about it, but I think we're past the stage now of imagining it. I think it is very much a thing. He just does not seem to enjoy playing with a partner.
Do you know, I don't know if that's, everybody seems to say it now, and they're saying it on TV as well. I don't know if that's strictly true. I think he could play a 10, no bother, but the question then is that his best position? Because you're looking at him just now as a sole striker and he's fucking on fire, he's sensational. And would you lose something if you had him playing behind the 4, for example? I think he could do that no bother, because his all-round play is so good. He could play that, he can go wide, he can beat men, he can bring people into play. So probably if you're looking at him as a player, you would probably say, this guy could play behind somebody. But I don't know if that's his best position. I think the way we played yesterday, there was more balance to the overall team, and it suited him. So there's probably an argument to say, he is best up front to sell. But I happen to think he could play in a 2. I don't think it's proven yet that that's not the case. Just because he's a wee bit skulky and he runs about and he does his well and everybody in the back, there's this kind of perception that he wouldn't be able to play as a partnership. I think if you give it time with a player as good as Defoe, it probably would click. Problem is, we've not really got time to start experimenting in that manner, because the chances are something going wrong are just too great, or the kind of consequences are just too great. But what I would say about the stats and stuff like that is he's got what a lot of fantastic strikers have, which is an insatiable desire to shoot. But Negri had it. He would shoot for every angle back to goal, he'd try and get a shot away. And for the first moment I've seen Morelos when he came on as a sub against Marseille in that friend of last year, I said, fucking hell good, we've got a striker that actually likes to just shoot as soon as he gets a sniff of goal. So long may it continue. He's key to what happens for the rest of the season. I'm very interested to see if we got a blockbuster bid, what we would do, because it would take massive balls to turn down a 15 or 20 million pound bid for any player. But I would like to think that we've got something as a backup in case that happens, because it would be negligence to think that if something comes in the last day that we cannot refuse as a club financially, that we're left high and dry without at least an attempt to replace him.
Before we move off in the game, a couple of things I just wanted to bring up before we get into maybe a discussion about the wider points that came out yesterday. Firstly, Daniel Candeias, we all kind of mentioned him, but I just wanted to big him up a little bit. I thought he was sensational yesterday. I mean, just everything about him. And that pass that you mentioned, Hoggy, if that was a player in England or Spain, we'd have seen it from multiple angles several times. It was incredible. And what made it just, I think, even better was he won the ball first. It was his tracking that made it happen, and then he's put in that ball, which was the perfect way. It had curve on it, so it came back in towards Morelos. It was just sensational.
And I think that's the whole tracking back and tackling back. I think that's what Candace has really, really added to his game this season. Certainly in the last few months, he's clearly been challenged by Gerrard to do more, work harder. And let's face it, he wasn't exactly work shy to begin with. And at times you could be forgiven in the game on the 29th against Celtic for, thinking it was Forrest Gump on the park, because he was chasing absolutely everything. But it wasn't just about chasing lost causes, it was about pressing the space as well. And that's one of the reasons Celtic seemed so penned in. Yesterday he was doing the same, but he was winning the ball. And then he's got that speed of thought that, you and I get frustrated at times about his final ball. And it seems to, more often than not this season, hit the first man, when maybe last season it didn't. But that was inch perfect. To the point, Morelos could actually take it first time. That's how good a ball it was. And, Morelos just thinks he's stuck it in the corner. I think he's wheeling away because he thinks it's in. And he should have scored, but let's chalk up to it was a bit unfortunate. It was just sensational pass from the guy. And if we're playing 4-3-3, he's got to play for me, David. And even if we're playing, say, that diamond formation against Kilmarnock the other night, when Kilmarnock are going to play with width, they're going to try and break away, bully in the midfield, and then break away with width and pace. We so badly missed that kind of buzz bomb Forrest Gump style against them, because they were able to break time and time again and kind of pull us apart a wee bit.
I've never seen that film.
Have you not?
No, never seen it.
Okay.
I didn't fancy it. It seems, from what I can gather about it, Tom Hanks plays what's the correct term these days? A learning difficulties person, and runs about a bit. It kind of just struck me as like watching some of our forwards from the last few years over and over again.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I maybe wouldn't go out of your way to watch it. Think. Nah, do you know? I'm not even going to say it, because this one's not in Patreon, and I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, probably best to move on from that. It was that era where Tom Hanks could have videoed himself having a wank and he'd have got an Oscar for it. So I think that was kind of off-putting to me as well. But anyway, moving on. Hoggy mentioned it there, Andy, which the formation. Now, we were rubbish when we tried this diamond against Kilmarnock, and we were very good when we went back to the 4-3-3 yesterday. So for quite a lot of fans, it's, well, there you go, that's our system, let's not deviate from it. On the other hand, and I kind of lean towards this camp, I've seen us be rotten this season a good few times playing 4-3-3. So the idea that it should never be tampered with, I don't know if I agree with. There have been games where it clearly hasn't worked, and I'm a great believer that sides, unless they're exceptional, should be tactically fluent, because you need to be able to give the opponent something difficult to think about, or different to think about. And I go back to the two Aberdeen matches at Ibrox and in the League Cup semi-final, where we, for two matches, tried essentially the same thing, and they just batted it away. And it would have been nice to have, if you like, a plan B. And I think that we've moaned a lot about that, and then when we try it, we go, oh, it's shite, get back to what we know. I don't necessarily think I'd be abandoning any other ideas or formations, but I do get the criticism that maybe Rugby Park, first game back, wasn't the place to try it, especially with two players who clearly weren't match fit yet, and that it maybe wasn't so much the system is rotten as this wasn't the place to start working on it.
Yeah, no, I agree completely about the fluency of formation, stuff like that. We've got the players that we should be able to play a couple of formations, and if I was to level one criticism of Gerrard and his team since they came, is just exactly what you've said. They've not actually tried different things often enough. And there was actually I kind of thought that we were becoming too predictable. I mean, we talked about Murty would play the same way all the time, the same players and all the rest of it, and you kind of knew exactly what was going to happen. It was getting a wee bit like that with this squad because we knew we were always going to play 4-3-3, and I think most opposition managers would have had a very, very good idea of how to set up against us because they would have known how we were going to set up. I was disappointed after the Motherwell draw early in the season when we started with 3 at the back and we tried Lafferty and Morelos. I was disappointed that we completely abandoned that. I'm not saying we played well that day, we didn't, but I think we had a wee bit of luck and I think Goldson slipped for a goal and stuff like that. I think with a wee bit of luck we could have persevered with that game and won with the 3 at the back, but for some reason we've never seen it again. I would like a team, ideally, that can switch during a game from a 4-3-3 to a 3 at the back to whatever. Because if we're being honest, that's what Celtic can do. And it changes games sometimes when you're really up against it, and those can be a difference between picking up 3 points, picking up 1 point, or not getting anything at all. And I think we have got the players that should be able to do that. Now, it's easier said than done because you've got to be well drilled and your players have got to know exactly what they're doing and where they are. And I think the Candace Tavernier thing is kind of critical because it's probably the best thing about our team is the combination doing the right between Tavernier and Candace. And a lot of these formation changes, you lose that. You certainly lose it when you go to the diamond. And if you go to a 3 at the back, then who's playing wide right? Is it Candace or Tavernier? It can't be both of them. So I think we need to actually open our minds as a support that we're going to play a diamond in some games. It might be different and it might be less dynamic as to what we're used to when we've got Kent and Candace on the wings. But we've got to be able to have solutions to games that are not going our way or to teams that are maybe well drilled and we're not getting to break them down. I think the Kilmarnock game, with hindsight, it was the wrong thing to do with hindsight, but I think the fact with Davis into the disposal, I don't think there's many Rangers fans disappointed to see them in the starting 11. But again, the Kilmarnock game, we gifted them. So it's not as you say the formation was wrong, it was just that actually we never responded as a team, and I think a couple of players never stepped up to the mark when they should have. So it's not always doing the formation. I think Gerrard said after that game, we should be winning here. And I think what he was mainly saying was we should be winning here, whether we're playing 4-3-3, 4-2 or whatever. We had the players to do it, and it was just doing the mentality and application. So I would like to see us try something different now again. Again, I go back to the problem we've got is there's no margin for error here now.
No.
And if you go back and you try a diamond, for example, away at Hamilton or something, I don't know, and it doesn't go to plan, and we get damaged, then we're in for pelters.
Hoggy, I think that for me what it is that the team itself are comfortable in this 4-3-3, and we can see who plays and the partnerships and whatnot, and it will take a little bit of time to adapt to a new formation. But there have been matches where we've just had no threat whatsoever and we've been reduced to just trying the same thing time after time. Partially, though, it's because in those matches, I think the team retreats into its shell mentally and you don't see first-time passing, you don't see people taking on a man. It becomes very pedestrian and very predictable, and that's what happened at Rugby Park. Now, we could have been 4-3-3, but if we were 4-3-3 and the game went exactly the same way, although clearly it wouldn't, but bear with me, the same thing would have happened because the players went into their shell and stopped doing the things they're good at.
Well, yeah, certainly some players tend to do that. What I'd suggest is going 3-5-2 at Motherwell seemed odd at the time because the team will have had almost no time to work on it whatsoever. And, we hardly had a free week throughout the first half of the season. So Andy's right, it takes drill time. Even moving to a diamond formation takes drill time. What we'll find in the second half of the season is there's more drill time. We're out of Europe, that's fine. So once we get, I think, this midweek in the Aberdeen game out the way, we'll have, hopefully, some more spare time in our hands that we can try this stuff. We can learn on the training field and learn to adapt to each other. I think the whole retreating into shell thing, I'm going to come back to Ross McCrorie, David, and it's again 2020 hindsight because he didn't play against Kilmarnock. But if I like Andy underplayed Ross McCrorie's role. I thought he was always quite. It was an element of youthful exuberance. That he would fly into tackles. He would come out the other end. He would seem to hurry the ball away, if you like. And I put that down to youth. As he plays, I realise that's his game because when he plays the ball away, he finds a blue jersey. And I noticed watched him specifically against Livingston for that. He wins the ball, he comes out and he unloads it really quickly, usually forward, and always to a guy in a blue top or yesterday a white top. That's why I think he becomes a mainstay of the team going forward, irrespective of the formation. You know, he's your defensive midfielder in a 4-3-3. He's your, defensive head of the diamond, if you like, in a 4-4-2. It's about the players and it's about the players' mentality, and you're absolutely spot on. Too often last season, under Pedro and then under Murty, and this season under Steven Gerrard, the players have had they haven't not wanted the ball, but I think Wednesday night really, really highlighted it for me what hiding means for this team. It's safety first. It's get the ball. It's slow the play down. It's a sideways passing that's not making a mistake going forward, and that's as ineffective as not wanting the ball. So if we cut that out, and we have to play the right players to cut that out, and as I say, guys like Ross McCrorie, probably Daniel Candeias, I don't think let that happen, because Wednesday night was case in point for me. Ryan Jack, who I think has done pretty well since he came back from injury, 2 goals, especially yesterday's absolute thunderbolt strike. But he's all of a sudden with Ross McCrorie there, he's playing slightly further forward. Who knew Ryan Jack can pass the ball forward? And he is, and he's getting to the front man and he's helping to link the play. When maybe Arfield was a wee bit quieter yesterday, Ryan Jack was stepping into the breach. That's all to do with the right players in the right positions at the right time.
No, I agree with that. I had the exact same point written down before I came on, because we're talking about formation.
Hang on, you write stuff down before we start?
Yo, I am preparing. I'm as good as
David, Andy's sitting on my knee. How do you think I read it?
That's a fair point. Well, that's what...
You'd be sitting on my knee.
Andy likes to drive, Hoggy. He's not being sexist or anything. It's just the way he gets down. Hope your wife's not listening to this, Andrew. It'll come as such a shock.
It gets down in more ways than one.
Homoerotic flirting aside, what was your point, Andy?
Andy, talking of which, before you come on to that, I had a key question about yesterday, because we won yesterday. What was the Andy McGowan bingo bus like back to Clickmanisher? You know, did you do? Was it hookers and coke and bevy, or was it cribbage?
I had coke, but it was Diet Coke.
Well, I actually have a question for the bus convener too, Andy, which is yesterday we saw, after the third goal, quite a few fans spilled onto the track to celebrate with Alfredo Morelos, and of course we got the usual fanny holding from those in the media, which is best ignored. We know that they're going to look for anything to have a go at Rangers, so it's a bit pointless. But I did notice that there was quite a lot of criticism from Rangers fans online and on social media as well. And the two school of thoughts that emerged were, it's fine, it's harmless, it's just a bit of fun, it's just the lads enjoying themselves, loosen up. And then the other school of thought seemed to be, look, I get it for last minute winners or Old Firm or whatever, but the third goal against Livy in a 3-0 win, it seems a bit trying too hard and a wee bit trying to be zany and look at us, we're ultras. Now, you run a bus where fun isn't allowed. What's your view on it? Obviously, you would tell any member of your bus that if they got involved in anything like this, they wouldn't be getting home. But you, I mean, you're at every single game. What's your thoughts on it?
The God's honest truth was, I thought it was hilarious. I thought when Morelos got mobbed yesterday, I was laughing. I thought it was really, really funny. The bigger problem is that you've
you've got to remember, a football support, I'm not just talking about Rangers, I'm talking about football support is essentially a classroom, and if you give the naughty boys an inch, they'll take a mile. Now, I think what they noticed yesterday at Livingston was that, fuck, we can go on this pitch, nobody's going to do a thing. And also you're seeing now at the end of games, I think it happened at Helsinki friendly, and it happened yesterday, kids are being told, you know what, see if you sprint at the final whistle to your favourite player, you might get his shirt. So I've not really got a problem with it. I think it's all in good nature. I don't think there's anything bad about what we're doing there. But I think if I'm a security man at Rangers, I'm going to say, fuck it, we need to get a grip of this. It'll be the same at every away ground. There'll be Rangers fans getting on the pitch and celebrating with the players and getting their pictures on the Willie Vass website and everything else. So I thought it was good natured, it was well intentioned. I don't think there was any badness in it at all. I thought it was genuine. I think sometimes you've got to say that's good for football, to see football fans filling a ground and enjoying themselves and having moments of joy with a player. But at the same token, we've got to actually, you've got to make sure that there's no, it doesn't grow into something that's actually a pain in the fucking hole.
And I think, David, I think that's a key point that Christ, I go back as far as bloody the Blue Order and beyond, and I've got no problems with what the guys did. It was fun. There was a bit of spontaneous action. Incidentally, Aberdeen did it a few weeks ago. It wasn't a problem then. It's only a problem yesterday. And for me, that's the issue. I don't have an issue with the guys doing it. It's, as you say, Andy, it's a bit of fun. And I couldn't give two hoots, genuinely could not give two shits what the wider media or what other fans think of, especially other fans of other clubs, think of what we do. Don't care. What I do care about is the guys that go in the pitch and they're having a laugh. As the narrative increases from the media and the chattering classes in Scotland, someone's going to get lifted for simply being on the park celebrating.
Oh yeah, I think that's the next step. The fact that it's now been discussed, if you like, they will just randomly lift a lot of people who've done it. And as you say, it's mainly young guys who've had a bevy, bit of a laugh, their pal dares them to do it, and it gets done. And the sensible thing is just to usher them back into the stand. But because people are starting to whine about it, guarantee in a few weeks a directive will go out. The next Rangers fans that does it, lift them, don't care if it, or lift them randomly, don't care if there's hundreds of them doing it. And yeah, I'm the same, and you end up getting a fine and a banning order and the club take your season ticket, and that's really unfortunate if you think for what the crime in inverted commas is.
Yeah, and that's my fear, that we've got good, honest guys that are going to see our team and vocally backing our team for 90 minutes, do something daft, get lifted and get a banning order. I mean, the any punishment like that does not fit the crime. Absolutely not. All I'd say to folk who are on the party is look, just watch what you're doing in future, because it's no worth being the martyr for simply just being on the park. So just watch your backs.
Yeah, I find it difficult to criticise the young team for much, because I'm an old fart, and I know that if I'd have been their age and someone my age was telling me what to do and what not to do, I'd have told them to fuck off. So I always think my opinion is not wanted, so I tend to just keep it to myself. I can see both sides in it, in all fairness. I do get it when it's a spontaneous rush of emotion. I think, there are certain goals that it's totally understandable, and certain ones where, keep the heat. But it's down to the individual, and just as Hoggy says, just watch, because we don't want anybody losing their season ticket or ability to go and follow Rangers because of it. So, moving on, then, we have a trip to Cowdenbeath on Wednesday, to the land of the stock cars. And hopefully the match will go ahead. Rangers having helped to pay for a pitch protector, which will, and I know that this kind of riled you, Hoggy, a little bit when the news came out that Rangers, after talks with the SFA, Cowdenbeath announced that Rangers had co-funded pitch protectors for this match, and that went up your arse sideways.
It did, and I know that it was maybe tongue in cheek from Donald Finlay when he was talking about Jimmy Bell being there and all the rest of it, but the implication was, and certain parts of the media took it to be, that Rangers wanted the game postponed. This was the same Cowdenbeath that had fucking cars on the pitch trying to actually thaw out the area in question at the corner flag. Cowdenbeath, I think, already had the pitch protectors on previously. Obviously, they just didn't work properly. It should be up to Cowdenbeath to get this game on, David. And they'll be getting enough money from TV and from the SFA for taking part. If member clubs can't get games on, then they shouldn't be in the tournament. It's as simple as that. It's not the 1950s anymore. But I think full credit to Rangers. And of course, what happens in both the media, it becomes a tongue-in-cheek thing because Rangers can do no good, and it becomes a tongue-in-cheek thing with other supporters. But in reality, hats off to Rangers. We didn't have to bother doing this, but we want the game on. We want the game on telly. We want Cowdenbeath to get the money. We want the money ourselves. So we're doing everything that we can. I just don't think it should be up to us. I think it's Cowdenbeath are getting plenty of money to get this game on, David.
No, fair enough. I hope the game does go ahead. I'm pretty sure it will this week. I'm looking forward to it. And Andy, it is a chance to experiment with the thing. Now, I've seen, again, or a lot of Rangers fans have said to me, no, you play your strongest team, you don't make any changes. But I'm afraid that I do tend to go to the other side, which is, look, I'm not saying make 11 changes, but we should be able to give people game time against Cowdenbeath without it being a problem. For me, this is absolutely ideal to get Davis and Defoe in and give them a full 90.
Maybe last season when the squad wasn't as robust and strong, you'd have maybe said, well, no, you have to play your first 11 always. But now we've got a lot more strength and depth, and you could change a number of positions and really don't have any qualms about it, especially against Cowdenbeath. So I do expect a wee bit of rotation. I couldn't really tell you who, but I do think Defoe and Davis will get a fair chunk of the match. You might see McCauley get a run, you might even see Fotheringham come in, but you're right, this new, our standard of squad should be able to go into this game and win it quite comfortably with a lot of permutations in the first 11. And saying that, there's a bit in the back of my head saying this is our best chance at a cup or a bit of silverware for a long time, so why would you take a chance? But really, if you're a football manager and you want to use your what you've got at your disposal, you would be looking at it saying we've got an opportunity here to get some game time and some players' legs that haven't had it before and still come through it quite comfortably.
There were a few people espousing the theory, and I get this one totally, Hoggy, that this might be, if you want to try two up front, this is a good one to do it. And in fact, give Alfie the night off, have him on the bench if you need him, but stick Defoe and Lafferty up front, see how that works.
Could do. Personal opinion, I'd go the 4-3-3. I think Cowdenbeath will look to keep it really tight, try to keep it solid down the spine. Therefore, we should be using some width to try and unpick it. Absolutely go 4-4-2 later on in the match. Hopefully, we've got it sewn up. If not, then we've got bigger problems than 4-3-3 versus 4-4-2, David. But it should be a night, and absolutely you want to get through and all the rest of it, but you look at our squad, we're saying we can play, compared to yesterday anyway, so-called fringe players like Jermaine Defoe, with the thick end of 50 caps and 25 goals for England. It's not a bad squad player. Bring him in, bring McCauley in, bring Flanagan in, Fotheringham in. McCrorie's injured anyway. Get Halliday as a defensive midfielder. Get these guys in there to say, look, go prove yourself. Go prove yourself and do the job. And yes, have the bench with Morelos and whomever else. Stick Lafferty out on the left. Bring Kent on later on. Bottom line is, go out and win. But I do think this is the type of game. This game, and actually Saturday coming up against St Mirren, you need to be utilising the squad to keep it nice and fresh, but also to keep those players hungry. Because as wanky as it sounds, if you're not using the squad, or there's no pathway into the starting 11 in games like this, then folk will get seriously disillusioned, David.
Now, normally we would turn to our section here, Heartsing of the Week, or Total Heartsing rather, where we look around to see people, primarily in football, who done or said something so stupid that it could have came from the mouth of the former Celtic and Wales striker. But this week it's a walkover victory for our old friend, and I think I'm probably accurate in saying erstwhile Hibernian manager Neil Lennon, with the news that he has been suspended, unfortunately not from a great height, but bear with me, from the club, along with his assistant Shane McGowan. And this is due to a bust-up with the players, including, or primarily, they are quite highly rated, I thought, striker Florian Kamberi. And after an altercation, he was sent home suspended. Formal letters have gone out. The process is underway. I think, having been on both sides of the table during a process like this, it generally ends up with your P45. So, Andy, when you heard this news, and let's put aside football rivalry for a minute, did you laugh or laugh really hard?
Do you know what? Lennon deserves some credit as a football manager, because
Boo! Andy's boss is shite.
Where did you find this guy?
I've no fucking idea. It's Sarah I feel sorry for.
Right, finish for fuck's sake.
Bring back to Andy McGowan.
What I was going to say is, if anybody follows me on Twitter, you know I'm quite critical of teams like Livingston and Motherwell because of the way they play football. I think it's backward and it doesn't do Scottish football any good. And I don't think you could level at Lennon's teams. They've always tried to play football, and it's quite attacking, and you can't say that he doesn't like to win. He's an absolute great of a man, but as a football manager, I always had a kind of grudging respect for him to a point. However, I think what's happened at Hibs was always inevitable, because he has been backed, but he would have you believe that it hasn't been backed. And I think that the press in Scotland, and the fact that nobody even whispered that he might be under pressure after a fucking shit run of results, seeing Hibs in the bottom six, the fact he never read anything about, question marks about Lennon, tells you the story of how Lennon operates in Scotland. He has a wee cabal of journalists who are his pals, and they will ignore the truth. They will ignore the body of evidence that we now have for this guy. He will never, ever take any responsibility or any blame, or even the slightest sliver of blame for anything whatsoever. And this is just the latest in the line of, I left because I wasn't getting backed, or I'll never settle for second, and Hibs wouldn't know, this kind of crap. I don't know where he goes for here. Where does he go for here? Because he's not going to go back down to England. Would he get another job in Scotland? I don't know if he would, because it's just there's too much evidence now that there's something not quite right with Neil Lennon. It's no what everybody tells us in the press, that he's a misunderstood guy and he's got problems and he's victimised. It's a lot of shite. It's him.
Yeah, I think I would agree with all of that. And the big point, Hoggy, that he's spot on about, we've already seen people rushing to his defence. I genuinely, if certain countries had been as well defended as Neil Lennon is in the late 1930s, then Hitler would have been stopped before he got out of the Rhineland. But they immediately rushed to his defence, and as Andy says, misunderstood, great guy, wonderful. It's not him, it's all of you who are wrong. But again, that's another club who seem to be quite happy to let an on the surface successful manager go. I think that kind of suggests something to you about what sort of effect he has on people. And he's not the first football manager to do it. We've seen it with other more successful, higher profile managers. But you can only run a chaotic organisation like that for so long before people just get tired of it.
Yeah, there's a certain sports writer at one of the Red Tops, rushed to his defence yesterday morning, Sunday, and republished the article of when Neil Lennon decided to leave Celtic. And I said on Twitter, here it comes. The story hasn't unfolded yet. It's only rumours at the minute. And here we are. It's a drinking buddy, and let's face it, it is a drinking buddy rushing to his defence. And it continued today, outlining it's everyone else's fault except Neil's. I know Neil has mood swings, but you know what? It's got to be his fault. If the rumours are true, and we're not going to talk about those rumours on here because they are simply rumours. You've only got to go into social media to see what those rumours are. But David, today I made a couple of calls with one or two folk that I've told you about previously in the east of the country, and those rumours might be more accurate than some Red Top writers might believe. So, at the end of the day, Neil Lennon has got a history of, let's face it, violence, temperament, of anger towards those of the opposite sex, and that's well documented, that history. And to immediately rush to his defence, and in the same article say Neil really hates it when you say he brings it on himself. Well, sometimes he actually might, and sometimes he might have to take responsibility for it. So where does he go from here? My money would be on Aberdeen, David.
Well, where does he go from here? My answer is I don't give a fuck so long as it's far away. Okay, folks, thank you very, very much for joining us this week. We'll be back on Thursday with Heart and Hand Extra to go over the Cowdenbeath match and look ahead to St Mirren at Ibrox on Saturday. Will be great to get back, first time in over a month, so very much looking forward to that. If you're coming along to Ibrox on Friday night though to see us in our live show with Kevin Thompson, we look forward to seeing you. The doors are open at 7, we'll be on at 8 and probably off stage for about 11:15 to make your plans that way. But if you want to stay on, the bar will be open till 12. We're very much looking forward to it. If you want to hear even more from us, then just visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/Heart and Hand, where you'll get up to 5 shows every single day on everything from Rangers history to current players to player profiles to managers to game by game breakdowns of season to classic matches. Also all football across the world. We cover English, Spanish, Italian, you name it, we cover it. So come along, it's only $1.99 per month, you will enjoy it, and cheaper than Netflix and much more staunch, can't say more than that. Thank you to our executive producers in London, Mr. Mike Lee and Mr. Paul Myers, and to my guest this evening, the wonderful Mr. Ian Hogg.
Pleasure as always. I can't believe McGowan loves Lennon.
I can't believe it either. He's it's a shocker. And
Baba, fucking twist. You think I'm Chris Bett? You think I'm going to sit and take this?
And I'd like to thank my other guest because the bells are ringing out for Andy Shane McGowan.
Fuck you.
Thanks for listening, folks. We'll be back on Thursday. Till then, take care. Bye.